Humble boy drives an ambulance and saves an entire family, and receives a gift from... Tyler Johnson never imagined that at 15, he'd be gripping the wheel of an ambulance with sirens blaring, racing against time to save lives. The boy who sold candy at traffic lights to help his mum pay the bills now held the heaviest responsibility of his life. It all started when Tyler was walking home from school that Tuesday afternoon. He was strolling down the main street of the Hope Heights neighborhood on the outskirts of Oakland, when he heard desperate screams coming from a yellow house on the corner. The first thing he saw was smoke pouring from the windows and a woman running toward the ambulance that had just arrived. "My children are in there," shouted Mrs. Parker, a 42-year-old woman pointing to the burning house. "They're trapped in the back bedroom." The paramedic who jumped out of the ambulance was Frank, a 50-year-old man Tyler recognized. Frank always bought candy from him at the traffic light on the main avenue, but something was wrong. Frank staggered as he stepped out, clutching his chest. "Oh God, my heart," Frank murmured, leaning against the side of the ambulance. His face was pale and sweaty. Tyler ran to him. "Mr. Frank, are you okay?" "Kid, I need help," Frank gasped. "I had a heart issue yesterday. I shouldn't be working, but I was the only one on call. The situation was chaotic. The house kept burning. Mrs. Parker screamed for her children, and the only available paramedic was having a medical emergency." That's when Tyler made the decision that would change everything. "Mr. Frank, teach me how the ambulance works. I can help." Frank stared at the boy in shock. "Tyler, you're underage. That's impossible." "But the firefighters will take forever to get here to Hope Heights." "They always do," Tyler insisted, "and there are kids trapped inside." Mrs. Parker rushed over, desperate. "Please do something. My twins Ethan and Emma are only 8 years old." Frank took a deep breath, fighting the pain in his chest. He knew breaking protocol could cost him his job, but lives were at stake. "All right, Tyler, but you're just driving to the hospital. I'll handle the rest." In the next few minutes, Frank quickly explained the ambulance's basic controls to Tyler. The boy had learned to drive from his uncle 2 years earlier on the neighborhood's empty streets on Sundays, but an ambulance was nothing like a regular car. "The siren is this button here," Frank showed him, still panting. "The emergency lights are on this panel. But listen carefully, kid. First, we get the kids out of the house. Then I'll guide you to the hospital." Tyler nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He'd never driven such a big vehicle, let alone in an emergency. The first obstacle appeared immediately. When they got close to the burning house, they realized the children weren't just trapped in the bedroom. A beam had fallen on the door, completely blocking the exit. Frank tried to get in through the window, but his heart condition worsened. "I can't do it," he admitted, struggling to breathe. "You'll have to go in, Tyler. But I don't know anything about rescue. Listen." Frank gripped the boy's arm. "Take this portable oxygen mask. The kids might be inhaling too much smoke. You can fit through the window because you're small. I'll guide you from out here." Tyler grabbed the mask and headed to the back window. The smoke was thick, but he could make out 2 small figures huddled in the corner of the room. Ethan and Emma Parker, the 8-year-old twins, were conscious but terrified. "Hey guys," Tyler said, keeping his voice calm. "I'm Tyler. I'm here to get you out." "We're scared," Emma cried. "I know, but you're coming with me, okay?" The problem was how to get both children out through the window. Tyler was strong for his age, but carrying 2 kids at once would be impossible. He decided to take them one at a time. First, he managed to pass Emma through the window to Frank, who was waiting outside. But when he went back for Ethan, the situation had gotten worse. The boy was coughing badly and seemed to be losing consciousness. "Ethan, stay awake with me," said Tyler, placing the oxygen mask over the boy's face. "We're getting out of here now." He managed to get Ethan to the window, but the boy was too weak to hold on. Tyler practically had to carry him, which was much harder than he expected. When they finally got out of the house, both were exhausted and covered in soot. "Now you need to take them to the hospital," said Frank, who was sitting on the ground, still struggling with his own crisis. "Emma's okay, but Ethan inhaled too much smoke. He needs urgent medical care." That's when the second big obstacle appeared. Frank tried to stand up to get into the ambulance, but collapsed again. I can't do it, Tyler, Frank admitted. My heart's in bad shape. You'll have to take the kids alone. But I can't drive an ambulance by myself. I don't even have a license. Listen carefully, Frank said with difficulty. These children's lives are in your hands now. The hospital is 15 minutes away. You know the way. Take the main avenue, then turn left at the Central Market Street. Mrs. Parker approached, holding Emma in her arms. Please, son, save my Ethan. He's having trouble breathing. Tyler looked at Ethan, who was unconscious in Frank's arms. There was no time to wait for another ambulance. The decision was made. Okay, said Tyler, his voice shaking. I'll take them. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Frank managed to drag himself to the ambulance and guided Tyler on the basic equipment he'd need to use during the trip. He showed him how to check the children's breathing and how to use the portable oxygen if needed. If Ethan stops breathing, pull over and give him mouth-to-mouth, Frank instructed. I taught my son that when he was your age. Tyler helped place Ethan onto the stretcher inside the ambulance. Mrs. Parker climbed in too, holding Emma, who was conscious but still scared. Mum, is Ethan going to be okay? Asked Emma, her eyes filled with tears. Yes, sweetheart, Mrs. Parker replied, though her own voice betrayed the desperation she felt. Tyler sat in the driver's seat, adjusted the seat and mirrors. His hands shook as he started the engine. The ambulance was much bigger than any vehicle he'd ever driven. The dashboard, full of buttons and lights, confused him. Remember, Frank shouted from the sidewalk, keep the siren on, the hazard's flashing, and watch the turns. Tyler pressed the accelerator slowly. The ambulance moved heavily down the street. It was nothing like his uncle's car. The steering wheel was stiffer, the brakes more sensitive, and the vehicle swayed more on turns. The first challenge came just a block away. A car was parked right in the middle of the road, blocking the way. Tyler honked and turned on the siren, but the driver didn't move. He had to brake hard, making Mrs. Parker grip the stretcher. Careful, son, she yelled. Tyler got out of the ambulance and ran to the parked car. The driver was on the phone and hadn't even noticed the ambulance. Sir, please move. It's an emergency. The man looked at Tyler skeptically. What emergency? You're just a kid. There are injured children in the ambulance. Move, please. After a few tense seconds, the man finally moved out of the way. Tyler rushed back to the ambulance, where he found Mrs. Parker trying to wake Ethan. He stopped responding, she said in panic. Tyler checked the boy's breathing as Frank had taught him. Ethan was still breathing, but very slowly. He placed the oxygen mask over his face and kept driving, now faster. On the main avenue, another problem arose. It was rush hour and traffic was heavy, cars in every direction, and many drivers wouldn't yield even with the siren on. Tyler had never driven in heavy traffic before. He had to weave between cars, honking constantly. At times, he passed so close to other vehicles that he nearly clipped their mirrors. Slow down, Mrs. Parker pleaded. If we crash, it'll be worse. But Ethan needs to get to the hospital fast, Tyler replied, sweating cold. When they reached the middle of the avenue, the ambulance's engine started making a strange noise. A red light lit up on the dashboard. What's that? Tyler asked, pointing at the light. Mrs. Parker looked, but didn't know how to interpret the ambulance's signals. I don't know, son. Do you know what it means? Tyler had no idea. Frank had only explained the basics. There hadn't been time to learn about mechanical issues. The ambulance began losing power, moving slower and slower. It can't stop now, Tyler muttered, pressing harder on the accelerator. But the vehicle kept losing strength. That's when Ethan had a seizure. He started convulsing on the stretcher, terrifying Mrs. Parker and Emma even more. Oh God, my boy, Mrs. Parker screamed. Tyler pulled the ambulance over to the shoulder. His hands shook as he approached Ethan. He remembered Frank's basic instructions, but had never dealt with a situation like this. Emma, come here, Tyler called. Hold your brother's hand and talk to him. Even unconscious, he might hear you. The girl obeyed, holding Ethan's hand and whispering comforting words. Tyler checked the boy's breathing again and adjusted the oxygen mask. He tried starting the ambulance once more,
The engine turned on, but the red light stayed lit. He decided to keep going anyway, driving slower to avoid straining the engine. The situation grew even tenser when they reached the corner of the Central Market, where Tyler was supposed to turn left toward the hospital.
The street was blocked by construction he hadn't known about. A sign read, "Road closed, detour via Blossom Street." Tyler didn't know Blossom Street. He'd never gone to the hospital that way. He was lost in his own city. "Mrs. Parker, do you know this detour?" "No, son, I always come this way." Tyler looked at Ethan, still unconscious, and made a decision. He grabbed the ambulance radio, trying to reach someone who could help. "Hello? Hello?" He spoke into the radio. "This is the ambulance, and we need directions to the hospital," a voice responded. "Identify yourself. Who's speaking?" Tyler hesitated. He knew telling the truth could land him in serious trouble, but Ethan needed urgent help. This is an emergency. There's a very sick child, and I'm lost because of the construction near the market." "What's your ID, paramedic?" I'm not a paramedic," Tyler admitted. "I'm just a kid. But the paramedic got sick, and I need to get this child to the hospital." There was silence on the radio. Then a different voice replied, "Son, you can't be driving an ambulance. Pull over immediately." "I can't stop. The child is really sick." "All right," the voice said after a pause. "I'll guide you, but afterward, you'll have to explain this whole situation." Note: the translation strictly follows the provided cultural mappings and maintains the original structure, tone, and plot elements. Down Blossom Street, you go straight for 5 blocks, then turn right onto St. Joseph Street. Tyler followed the directions, but the ambulance engine was getting worse. The vehicle was overheating and losing even more power. With every block, it moved slower. On St. Joseph Street, Tyler's worst fear came true. The ambulance stopped completely. The engine shut off and wouldn't start again, no matter how many times Tyler tried. "Well, now we're lost," said Mrs. Parker, starting to cry. Tyler got out of the ambulance and looked around. He was only 3 blocks from the hospital, but carrying Ethan would make it impossible to get there in time. The boy needed the ambulance's equipment. That's when he spotted a motorcycle approaching. It was Mike, a 25-year-old pizza delivery guy Tyler knew from the neighborhood. "Tyler? What are you doing in an ambulance?" "Mike, thank God." Tyler quickly explained the situation. "Can you help me?" Mike looked inside the ambulance and saw Ethan unconscious. "Man, this is really serious. I'll call my dad. He's a mechanic and lives nearby." "There's no time. The boy needs to get to the hospital now." Mike thought for a moment. "Listen, I have jumper cables. Maybe we can get it started." The two tried jump-starting the ambulance using the cables and Mike's motorcycle battery. After several attempts, the engine roared back to life, but it was making a terrible noise. "It won't last long," Mike warned. "You've got to get to the hospital fast." Tyler started driving again, the engine barely holding on. The ambulance shook violently and made a deafening noise, but it was moving. When they finally saw the hospital, Ethan had another seizure. This time, he stopped breathing altogether. "He's not breathing!" Mrs. Parker screamed. Tyler stopped the ambulance at the emergency room entrance and ran inside for help. Several nurses and doctors rushed out, including Dr. Wilson, a 60-year-old physician on duty. "What happened here?" Dr. Wilson asked, seeing Tyler covered in soot and clearly underage. "Doctor, this child inhaled a lot of smoke in a fire. The paramedic had a heart attack, and I had to bring them," Tyler explained quickly. Dr. Wilson looked at Ethan and immediately called the emergency team. "Take him to the resuscitation room now." As the doctors rushed Ethan away, Dr. Wilson turned to Tyler. "Son, did you drive this ambulance by yourself?" "Yes, sir. There was no other choice." "You saved this child's life," the doctor said with admiration. "But now you'll have to explain everything to the authorities." Tyler's troubles were just beginning. Minutes later, 2 agents from the health department arrived, accompanied by the regional ambulance supervisor. "Are you the minor who was driving the ambulance?" asked the supervisor, a stern 50-year-old man named Mr. Thompson. Yes, sir, Tyler replied nervously. Do you have any idea how serious this is? Driving without a license, using an official vehicle without authorization, these are serious crimes. Tyler's stomach tightened. He hadn't thought about the legal consequences of his actions. He just wanted to save Ethan. Sir, I only wanted to help. The boy would have died if I hadn't done anything. That doesn't justify breaking the law, Mr. Thompson replied. We'll have to call your parents and file a report. Mrs. Parker, who had been with Ethan in the emergency room, approached the group. Please, gentlemen, this boy saved my son's life. If it weren't for him, Ethan would have died in that house. We understand the situation, ma'am, one of the health department agents said, but there are protocols that must be followed. The boy put multiple lives at risk. He risked his own life to save my son, insisted Mrs. Parker. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot since we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The argument was interrupted by the arrival of Mrs. Johnson, Tyler's mother. She had been called by the hospital and arrived in a rush, her face full of worry. Tyler, my son, are you okay? She hugged him tightly. I'm fine, Mom, but I think I'm in big trouble. Mrs. Johnson, a 40-year-old woman who worked as a housekeeper to support her family, looked at the officers with fear. Please, sirs, he's just a child. What's going to happen to my son? Mr. Thompson explained the situation. Ma'am, your son violated several serious laws. Driving without a license, using an official vehicle without authorization. These are offenses that could result in corrective measures. But he saved a life, protested Mrs. Johnson. That will be taken into account, but it doesn't erase the crimes committed. That's when Frank, the paramedic who had stayed behind, arrived. He had recovered enough to come to the hospital, accompanied by another paramedic who brought him. How's the child? Were Frank's first words. Stable, replied Dr. Wilson. Thanks to the quick response, there's no permanent damage. Frank turned to the officers. Gentlemen, I need to speak. The situation was much more complicated than it seems. Are you the paramedic in charge? Asked Mr. Thompson. Yes. And I authorized the boy to drive the ambulance. You don't have the authority to do that, one of the health department officers protested. I know, admitted Frank, but I also know that if we hadn't acted, that child would have lost his life. My heart condition prevented me from performing the rescue or driving the ambulance. Mr. Thompson was clearly irritated. Paramedic Frank, you'll also be investigated for negligence and protocol violation. The situation was getting worse for everyone involved. Tyler felt guilty for getting Frank into trouble too. Sir, this is all my fault, said Tyler. Frank only tried to help because I insisted. No, son, replied Frank. The responsibility is mine. I'm the adult and the professional here. Dr. Wilson, who had been observing the discussion, stepped closer. May I give my medical opinion on this situation? Of course, Doctor, said Mr. Thompson. The child arrived here in critical condition. 10 more minutes, and it would have been a tragedy. This boy's actions, though irregular, saved a life. Doctor, we understand that, replied the health department officer. But we can't allow civilians to drive ambulances. Imagine if everyone started doing that. I agree it can't become the norm, said Dr. Wilson. But this was an exceptional situation. The argument was interrupted again when Ethan woke up in the emergency room. Mrs. Parker rushed to her son's side, crying with relief. Mom, where am I? Asked Ethan weakly. At the hospital, sweetheart. You're okay now. What about Emma? She's fine too. Tyler saved both of you. Ethan looked confused. Who's Tyler? Mrs. Parker pointed to Tyler, who was outside the room with the officers. That boy over there. He went into the burning house to get you, then drove the ambulance to bring you here. Ethan tried to sit up. I want to talk to him. Dr. Wilson allowed Tyler to approach. Ethan reached out to shake his hand. Thank you for saving me, the boy said. Tyler felt tears in his eyes. Get better, Ethan. Your sister was really worried. Where is she? She's with a nurse in the waiting room, explained Mrs. Parker. She wasn't hurt, just inhaled a little smoke. As Tyler spoke with Ethan, the officers were outside deciding what to do. The situation was unique, and there were no clear precedents. "We'll have to take the case to the prosecutor," said the health department agent. "It's his responsibility to decide whether to file charges or not." Mr. Thompson agreed. "And paramedic Frank will also face administrative action." "Gentlemen," interrupted Dr. Wilson, "may I suggest something?" "Go ahead, Doctor." "What if we use this situation as a case study? Instead of punishing, we could turn this into something positive for the community." "How so?" asked Mr. Thompson. "The boy showed courage and basic knowledge that saved a life. We could create a first aid training program for young people in the community." The agents exchanged glances. The idea was interesting, but it didn't resolve the legal issue. "Doctor, the idea is good," said the health department agent, "but laws were broken. We can't just ignore that." "I'm not suggesting we ignore it," clarified Dr. Wilson. "I'm suggesting the punishment be educational and constructive." Just then, someone unexpected arrived. Patricia Reynolds, the city health department secretary. She'd been informed about the case and decided to come to the hospital in person. "Good afternoon," she said, introducing herself to the group. "I'm Patricia Reynolds, the city's health department secretary. I'd like to better understand this situation." Mr. Thompson quickly explained everything that had happened. Patricia listened carefully, asking specific questions about Ethan's condition and the circumstances of the rescue. "Where is the boy?" she asked. Tyler was called to speak with the secretary. He was nervous, knowing she was an important authority. "Tyler, tell me in your own words what happened." Tyler recounted the whole story from the moment he saw the house on fire until arriving at the hospital. Patricia listened without interrupting. "How old are you?" she asked. 15, ma'am." "And why did you decide to help? Weren't you afraid?" "I was terrified," Tyler admitted, "but I couldn't leave the kids there. And Frank was feeling sick, he couldn't drive." Patricia turned to Frank. "Paramedic, what's your version of events?" Frank confirmed everything Tyler had said. "Madam Secretary, I was having a heart attack. There were no other paramedics available on duty. It was a tough decision, but it was the only option to save the children." "And why didn't you call the fire department?" "We did," Frank replied. "But response times in Hope Heights are always slow. The kids didn't have that kind of time." Patricia thought for a moment. "Dr. Wilson, what's the current condition of the children?" "Ethan is stable and out of danger. Emma didn't suffer any serious complications. Both will make a full recovery." "And if they had arrived later?" "Ethan probably wouldn't have survived," Dr. Wilson answered gravely. Patricia made a decision. "Mr. Thompson, I want a meeting tomorrow at the department with everyone involved. We'll review this case more carefully before taking any punitive measures." "Yes, Madam Secretary. And I want the boy released today. He'll answer freely." Tyler sighed in relief, but he knew his troubles weren't over yet. The next day, he'd have to explain his actions to city officials. Mrs. Johnson thanked the secretary. "Thank you so much, ma'am. My son is a good boy. He just wanted to help." "I can see that," Patricia replied, "but we need to make sure something like this doesn't happen again due to a lack of proper resources." As Patricia left, Dr. Wilson approached Tyler. "Son, you've got courage. Ever thought about working in healthcare?" "Never considered it, doctor. My family can't afford to send me to college." "There are ways to make it happen," said Dr. Wilson. "I'll talk to some colleagues about scholarships." Tyler thanked them but was still worried about the meeting the next day. He knew he could face serious consequences for his actions. That night at home, Tyler told the whole story to his family. Besides Mrs. Johnson, he lived with his 68-year-old grandmother, Beatrice, and his younger sister, Sophia, who was 12. "My grandson, you were very brave," said Grandma Beatrice, "but also very reckless. You could have gotten hurt." "I know, Grandma, but I couldn't let those children die." "And now?" asked Sophia. "Are you going to jail?" "I don't know," Tyler replied. "Tomorrow I'll find out." Mrs. Johnson was worried about the possible consequences. "Son, if you're convicted, this could affect your future. Trouble finding a job, studying." "Mom, I don't regret what I did," Tyler said. "If it happened again today, I'd do the same thing." The next morning, Tyler arrived at the health department, accompanied by his mother. They were nervous, unsure of what to expect. The meeting took place in Secretary Patricia's office. Present were Mr. Thompson, the department agent, Frank, Dr. Wilson, and a youth court prosecutor, Dr. Jennifer Miller. "Good morning, everyone," Patricia began. "We're here to discuss the case of young Tyler Johnson and decide on the appropriate measures." Dr. Jennifer was the first to speak. From a legal standpoint, there was clearly a violation of the law. Driving without a license is a crime, regardless of age. Using an official vehicle without authorization is also illegal. Tyler felt his heart race. The prosecutor seemed determined to enforce penalties. "However," Dr. Jennifer continued, "we also need to consider the exceptional circumstances and the positive outcome of his actions." "Prosecutor," Patricia said, "what alternatives do we have besides traditional punishment?" "We could apply constructive socio-educational measures. For example, community service related to healthcare." Dr. Wilson spoke up. "May I suggest something? How about Tyler taking a first aid course and then teaching it to other young people in the community?" "Interesting," Dr. Jennifer replied. "That would be a way to turn this experience into something positive." Frank also spoke. "I'd like to volunteer to supervise Tyler's training. I can teach him basic paramedic techniques." Mr. Thompson, who had been silent, finally spoke. "Secretary, we also need to review our protocols. What happened exposed flaws in our system." "How so?" Patricia asked. "We shouldn't have just one paramedic on duty, and the response time in Hope Heights is far too long." "You're right," Patricia agreed. "That also needs to be addressed." Dr. Jennifer spoke again. "Very well. Considering all factors, I propose the following measure. Tyler will complete 6 months of community service in healthcare, taking a first aid course and teaching it to other young people." Tyler sighed in relief. This was much better than he had expected. "Additionally," the prosecutor continued, "I want this case to be used as an example to improve emergency services in the area." Patricia agreed. "I'll allocate resources to place more ambulances and paramedics in Hope Heights." "What about Frank?" Tyler asked, concerned about the paramedic who had helped him. Mr. Thompson answered, "Frank will receive an administrative warning, but given the circumstances, he won't be fired." Frank nodded gratefully. "Thank you, and I'd like to volunteer to train new paramedics for the area." "Excellent," Patricia said. "Let's turn this situation into an opportunity for improvement." When the meeting ended, Tyler felt relieved but also excited. He'd get to learn more about first aid and even help others. Dr. Wilson called him aside for a private conversation. "Tyler, I was serious yesterday about the scholarships. I know people who can help you get into medical school. Doctor, that would be a dream, but my family needs me to work to help with expenses. There are programs that offer full scholarships and even a stipend for students. I'll introduce you to these opportunities." Tyler thanked him emotionally. He had never imagined that one day he'd have the chance to study medicine. In the following months, Tyler completed his community service with dedication. He took a first aid course and became an instructor for the youth of Hope Heights. The program was a success. Over 100 young people from the area learned basic first aid techniques. Many became interested in healthcare and began considering careers in medicine, nursing, and paramedicine. Frank became Tyler's mentor, teaching him advanced techniques and sharing stories from his experience as a paramedic. "Tyler, you have a natural talent for this," Frank would say during training. "I've never seen anyone learn so fast." The health department kept its promise. 2 additional ambulances were placed in Hope Heights, significantly reducing emergency response times. Ethan and Emma fully recovered from the accident. They often visited Tyler during his first aid courses. "Tyler is our hero," Emma would always tell the new students. "He saved our lives." Mrs. Parker also became an advocate for the program. "If it weren't for this boy and everything that happened afterward, my children wouldn't be here today." Dr. Wilson kept his promise about study opportunities. He introduced Tyler to several scholarship programs for low-income students interested in medicine. "Tyler, you're a perfect fit for these programs," Dr. Wilson explained. "Practical experience, social commitment, and excellent grades in school." Tyler applied to 3 different programs. To his surprise and joy, he was accepted into all of them. The program he chose offered a full scholarship for medical school, plus a monthly stipend that would allow him to continue helping his family financially. When he received the acceptance news, Tyler ran to tell his whole family. "Mom, I got in. I'm going to study medicine," Mrs. Johnson cried with emotion. "My son, I always knew you were special, but I never imagined you'd go this far." Grandma Beatrice was also moved. "My grandson is going to be a doctor. How proud I am." The news spread quickly through Hope Heights. Tyler had become a well-known and respected figure in the community. On the day of the first aid course graduation, a small ceremony was held at the neighborhood school. Everyone who had been part of the story was there. Patricia Reynolds, Dr. Wilson, Frank, Dr. Jennifer, and of course Mrs. Parker, with Ethan and Emma. "Tyler," Patricia said during the ceremony, "you turned a difficult situation into an opportunity for growth for the entire community." "Thank you, ma'am, but I didn't do it alone. All of you helped me." Dr. Wilson took the microphone. "I want to announce that Tyler Johnson has been accepted with a full scholarship to study medicine at the University of California." The audience applauded enthusiastically. Tyler was moved by the recognition. Frank also spoke. "Tyler, you taught me that sometimes breaking the rules can be the right thing to do. I'm proud to have been your mentor." Mrs. Parker approached the stage with Ethan and Emma. "Tyler, my family owes you an eternal debt. You didn't just save my children, you turned a tragedy into something positive for the whole community." Ethan, now 9 years old and fully recovered, took the microphone. "Tyler, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. I want to save people too." Emma nodded. "We're going to study hard so we can help others like you helped us." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. After the ceremony, there was a small celebration at the school. Tyler spoke with many of the young people who had participated in the first aid program. "Tyler," said Ashley, a 16-year-old girl who had excelled in the course, "because of your example, I've decided I want to be a nurse." "That's wonderful, Ashley. You'll be an excellent nurse." Another young man, Brandon, 17, also approached. "Man, before I met you, I had no direction in life. Now I'm going to apply for a scholarship to train as a paramedic." Tyler was happy to hear that his story had inspired other young people to pursue careers in healthcare. Mr. Thompson, who had initially been so strict, also came to speak with Tyler. "Son, I have to admit I was wrong. You proved that sometimes it takes courage to do the right thing, even when it goes against the rules. Sir, I understand you were just doing your job. Rules exist for a reason." "Yes, but we also learned that rules need flexibility for exceptional situations." Dr. Jennifer also approached. "Tyler, I wanted to congratulate you. You turned a community service measure into something much bigger. Doctor, thank you for believing in me from the start. I hope you'll be an example for other young people who go through the community service system." As the celebration was winding down, Dr. Wilson called Tyler aside for a private conversation. "I'd like to make you an offer." "What kind of offer, doctor?" "During your college breaks, how would you like to work as an intern here at the hospital? I can teach you a lot about practical medicine." Tyler was thrilled. "That would be amazing, doctor. I'd love to learn more." "Great. And there's one more thing." Dr. Wilson smiled. "I've convinced the hospital to create an official first aid program for the community. Would you like to be the coordinator?" "Really? But I'll be studying medicine." "The program will run on weekends. You'll be able to balance it with your studies." Tyler could hardly believe it. Not only had he secured a scholarship to study medicine, but he'd also have the chance to keep helping his community. A few weeks later, Tyler started medical school. The first day was intimidating. He was used to his school in Hope Heights, where he knew everyone. At the university, everything was new and different. His classmates came mostly from middle and upper class families. Many had attended expensive private schools and had parents who were doctors or other professionals. Tyler felt out of place. His clothes were simpler. He didn't have his own laptop and he didn't recognize many of the cultural references his classmates mentioned. "You're from the outskirts, right?" asked a classmate named Mike during one of the first lectures. "I'm from Hope Heights," Tyler replied, a little embarrassed. "Wow, that's so cool. I've never met anyone from there who got into med school. The comment, though not ill-intentioned, made Tyler feel even more different from his peers. In the first few weeks, Tyler struggled to keep up with the pace of the coursework. His classmates seemed to have a stronger foundation in some subjects, especially biology and chemistry. "Tyler, do you need help?" asked Sarah, a classmate who had noticed his difficulties. "A little," he admitted. "My school didn't have a very well-equipped chemistry lab. I can help you. My dad's a chemist. I grew up around this stuff." Sarah became a great friend and helped Tyler overcome his early struggles. She didn't do it out of pity, but because she admired his determination. "Tyler," said Sarah one day, "you have something many of us don't. Real hands-on experience. You've already saved lives. That's worth way more than any fancy lab." Sarah's words helped Tyler gain confidence. He realized his experience with real medical emergencies was unique among his peers. During practical first aid classes at college, Tyler stood out. The professor, Dr. Peterson, quickly noticed his talent. "Johnson," Dr. Peterson called after a practical session, "do you have prior experience with medical emergencies?" Tyler briefly shared his story. Dr. Peterson was impressed. "That explains your ease with the procedures. Would you like to be a teaching assistant for this course?" Being a TA meant an extra stipend, which would help Tyler financially. He accepted immediately. As a TA, Tyler began teaching first aid to freshmen. His practical experience made the classes far more engaging and realistic. "Tyler," one of the students said, "you explain things in a way we actually understand. It doesn't feel like theory. It feels real." "Because it really happened to me," Tyler replied. "When you're in a real emergency, there's no time to overthink the theory. You just have to act." His classes became hugely popular among students. Many from other groups came to watch. Dr. Peterson was amazed by Tyler's success as a TA. "Johnson, have you ever considered specializing in emergency medicine?" "I haven't thought about specialization yet, Professor. I'm only in my first year." "I know, but you have a natural talent for emergencies. You should consider this field." While Tyler was adjusting to college life, the first aid program in Hope Heights kept growing. Frank was coordinating the program during the week and Tyler took over on weekends. "Tyler, we have a waiting list of 200 kids wanting to join," Frank said during a planning meeting. 200? That's amazing. The program's become a model for the area. Other communities are asking to implement something similar. Tyler was proud of the program's success, but also worried about the growth. "Frank, how are we going to handle so many people? We'll need to train more instructors. What if we invite some of your college classmates to help?" The idea was perfect. Tyler talked to Sarah and other classmates about volunteering for the program. "Of course I'll go," Sarah said right away. "I've always wanted to do community work but never knew how to start." 5 more classmates showed interest in the project. The following Saturday, Tyler took the group to visit Hope Heights. For many of them, it was their first time in an underserved community. Tyler was nervous about their reactions. "Man, it's way different than I imagined," Mike said, looking around. "It's a lot more organized and clean than I thought." "What did you expect?" Tyler asked, curious. "I don't know. On TV, it all looks messier." Sarah nudged Mike. "Mike, that's prejudice. People with less money still take care of their homes." "Sorry, Tyler, I didn't mean to offend." "It's okay," Tyler replied. "These biases are common. What matters is learning the reality." During the first session with the college students helping, something special happened. The kids from Hope Heights were in awe of meeting med students. "You all must be so smart," said Carla, a 15-year-old in the program. "No smarter than you," Sarah answered. "Intelligence isn't about money or social class." Tyler felt proud watching how respectfully his classmates interacted with the community. They didn't act superior or pitying, just genuinely eager to help. After a few weeks, the group of college students had already integrated into the program. They came not only to teach, but also to learn from the community's reality. "Tyler," said Sarah after one of the classes, "I've learned more about medicine here than in many lectures at university." "How so?" Here, you teach with real examples, cases that actually happened. At university, it's often too theoretical. That's true, agreed another classmate, Marcus. And here we see how important it is for doctors to understand their patients' social realities. The program was doing good, not just for the youth of Hope Heights, but also for the college students. They were learning about social diversity and medical responsibility. Dr. Wilson, who closely monitored the program's progress, was impressed with the results. "Tyler, you've created something very special here," he said during a visit. "You're shaping a new generation of socially conscious healthcare professionals." "Doctor, this was only possible because you believed in me from the start." "No, Tyler. It was possible because you had the courage to act when it was needed and the humility to learn and grow." Recognition of Tyler's work was spreading. The city health department invited him to present the program at a public health conference. "A conference?" Tyler grew nervous. "But I'm just a first-year student." "You're much more than that," replied Patricia Reynolds. "You're a young man who transformed an entire community through healthcare." The invitation was a huge honor, but also a new challenge for Tyler. He had never spoken to a specialized academic audience before. Sarah offered to help him prepare the presentation. "Tyler, you tell the story naturally. You just need to organize the information better." They spent several afternoons preparing slides and rehearsing. Tyler was nervous but also excited. "What if they ask me very technical questions?" he worried. "Answer with your practical experience," Sarah reassured him. "The most technical answer isn't always the most important." On the day of the conference, Tyler arrived at the convention center 2 hours early. The venue was grand, with hundreds of doctors and healthcare professionals from across the region. "Tyler," Dr. Wilson greeted him at the entrance, "ready for your debut as a speaker?" "Nervous, Doctor. I've never spoken to so many people." "It'll be fine. Remember, you're not selling theory. You're telling a real story that changed lives." When it was time for his presentation, Tyler stepped onto the stage with shaky legs. The audience had about 300 people, all watching him expectantly. "Good afternoon," Tyler began, his voice trembling slightly. "My name is Tyler Johnson, and 1.5 years ago I was just a 15-year-old boy selling candy at traffic lights to help my family." As he told his story, Tyler grew more confident. The audience was clearly engaged, taking notes and listening to every detail. When he reached the part about driving the ambulance, murmurs spread through the crowd. Some seemed shocked, others impressed. "I know I broke many rules that day," Tyler said, "but I learned that sometimes saving lives is more important than following protocols." At the end of the presentation, the audience gave him a standing ovation. Tyler hadn't expected such a positive reaction. During the Q&A, an experienced doctor raised his hand. "Young man, how do you recommend healthcare services handle exceptional situations like the one you experienced?" Tyler thought for a moment. "Doctor, I think it's important to have flexible protocols, and most importantly, to train more people in the community for basic emergencies." "Very well put," replied the doctor. Another physician asked about the program's impact on the community. Tyler presented the data. A significant reduction in emergency response times, increased interest among young people in healthcare, and overall improvement in accident prevention. "Besides," Tyler added, "the program built a bridge between the university and the outskirts. My college classmates now better understand the healthcare needs of underserved communities." After the presentation, several people approached Tyler to congratulate him and ask for more details about the program. "Young man," said one doctor, "I'd like to implement something similar in my city. Could you help us?" "Of course, doctor. I'd be happy to share our experience." Dr. Wilson was beaming over the presentation's success. "Tyler, you were brilliant. You spoke with knowledge, humility, and passion. Thank you, doctor. Now I understand why you insisted I participate. You're becoming a reference in community health, and this is just the beginning." In the weeks following the conference, Tyler received several invitations to speak about the program in other cities. He was gaining recognition in the region as an innovative young figure in healthcare. But the recognition also brought new challenges. Tyler had to balance college studies, his work in the emergency response program, and now these speaking engagements. "Tyler, you're overloading yourself," Sarah warned. "Your grades are slipping a bit." "I know, but so many great opportunities keep coming up. You need to focus. Medicine demands total dedication." Sarah was right. Tyler decided to reduce the number of speaking engagements and concentrate more on his studies. The program in Hope Heights would continue, but he'd delegate more responsibilities to Frank and the other volunteers. During his second year of college, Tyler excelled in several subjects, especially those related to emergency medicine. His hands-on experience gave him a clear advantage. "Johnson," Dr. Peterson said after a practical exam, "you have the best emergency procedure performance in the class." "Thank you, Professor." "Have you decided on a specialty yet?" "I'm thinking about emergency medicine, Professor." "Excellent choice. You were born for it." At the end of his second year, Tyler received news that would change his plans again. Dr. Wilson approached him with an unexpected proposal. "Tyler, how about spending your break on a study exchange?" "An exchange? Where?" "England. They have a very advanced rural emergency medicine program, similar to what you developed here." Tyler was excited but also worried. "Doctor, my family can't afford a trip like that. It's a full scholarship. Flight, lodging, and a stipend are all covered." "Really? What about the program here in Hope Heights?" "Frank and the other volunteers will handle it for 2 months. You need to broaden your horizons." The opportunity was incredible, but Tyler hesitated at the thought of leaving his family and community for the first time. "Mom, what do you think?" he asked Mrs. Johnson. "Son, you have to go. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to learn and grow." "But what if you need me?" "Tyler," Grandma Beatrice said, "you've already done so much for us. Now it's time to aim higher." With his family's support, Tyler accepted the exchange. It would be his first trip outside the United States and his first time away from home for so long. The 2 months in England were transformative for Tyler. He learned advanced emergency medicine techniques and explored different models of community care. "Tyler," said Dr. Andrew Smith, his supervisor in London, "you have a very interesting perspective on community medicine. Have you considered a master's in this field?" "A master's? I haven't even finished undergrad yet." "But it's never too early to plan. You have the potential to become an international reference." The idea of being recognized internationally was tempting, but Tyler felt his place was in the United States, helping communities like Hope Heights. When he returned to the US, Tyler brought many new ideas to improve the first aid program. He implemented techniques he had learned in England and created new training modules. "Man, you came back full of ideas," Frank joked. "You can't even stop talking about what you learned." "It was incredible, Frank. I saw how other countries handle community medicine." "What impressed you the most?" "The integration between universities and communities. There, every medical student has to do mandatory community work." The experience in England gave Tyler a new perspective on his future. He began thinking of ways to expand his impact beyond Hope Heights. In his third year of college, Tyler proposed an ambitious project, creating a network of first aid programs in several communities across the New York City metropolitan area. "Tyler," Dr. Wilson said when he heard about the project, "this is huge. Are you sure you can coordinate all of this?" "Not alone, Doctor. But with a team of medical students and experienced paramedics, I think we can do it." The project was approved by the university and received support from the city health department. Within 6 months, Tyler had implemented similar programs in 5 different communities. "Johnson," the university dean said in a meeting, "your project is gaining national attention. We've been contacted by universities in other states interested in replicating the model." Tyler was proud but also concerned about the project's rapid growth. "Dean, it's important to maintain quality. I'd rather grow slowly but well." "Very mature of you. Quality should always come before quantity." The success of the projects brought Tyler new visibility. He was invited to give lectures at several universities and became a reference in community medicine. But recognition also brought pressure. Some people expected Tyler to expand his projects nationally or even internationally. Tyler, a visiting professor from New York City, said, "You should think big. Your model could be applied across the entire United States. Professor, I believe it's better to do something well on a small scale than poorly on a large scale. But you could have so much more impact. Real impact happens by changing lives one at a time, Tyler replied. I prefer to know every community I work in. This philosophy didn't sit well with everyone. Some colleagues thought he was missing opportunities for professional growth. Tyler, a classmate said, you're being too modest. You could be making a lot of money as a consultant, traveling the world, giving lectures. It's not about money, Mike. It's about making a real difference. But you also need to think about your financial future. Tyler knew his classmate had a point. His family still struggled financially, and he could be earning much more through consulting. But whenever he thought about leaving community work, he remembered Ethan and Emma and all the young people he had trained in Hope Heights. In his 4th year of college, Tyler faced his biggest personal crisis. Grandma Beatrice, his grandmother, fell ill and had to be hospitalized. Doctor, Tyler asked the physician treating her, what's the prognosis? Tyler, she's 86 and her heart is very weak. We'll do everything we can, but you need to prepare yourself. The possibility of losing his grandmother left Tyler desperate. Grandma Beatrice had been one of the most important people in his life, always supporting and encouraging him. Grandma, you need to get better, said Tyler, holding her hand in the hospital. My grandson, Grandma Beatrice said weakly, I've lived a long life and seen you become an amazing man. Don't talk like that, Grandma. You'll be okay. Tyler, I want to ask you something. Never stop helping people. That's what makes you special. During the 2 weeks Grandma Beatrice was hospitalized, Tyler practically lived at the hospital. His college classmates and first aid program teammates took turns supporting him. Tyler, said Sarah, you need to rest. You haven't slept properly in 3 days. I can't leave her alone. She's not alone. Your family is here and so are we. Sarah was right. Tyler had built a strong support network over the years. Frank, Dr. Wilson, his college classmates, and even Ethan and Emma, now 11 years old, came to visit him at the hospital. Tyler, Ethan said, you saved our lives. Now let us help you too. The kindness of everyone moved Tyler deeply. He realized that by helping so many people, he had created an extended family that now supported him. Thankfully, Grandma Beatrice recovered after 2 weeks of intensive treatment. The scare made Tyler rethink his priorities. Grandma, he said when she returned home, I want to spend more time with family. My grandson, that makes me happy, but don't stop your work. You have a gift for helping people. I'll find a better balance. Tyler reorganized his schedule to make more time for family, without abandoning his projects. He learned to delegate responsibilities and trust the team he had built. In his 5th year of college, Tyler was doing his emergency medicine internship. His prior experience set him apart from other residents. Johnson, said Dr. Williams, the head of the ER, you have a bright future in this field. Any plans for residency? I'm thinking of specializing in emergency medicine, doctor. Great. And after that? A master's, PhD? Actually, I'm considering going back to work in Hope Heights, implementing a more comprehensive emergency service for underserved communities. Dr. Williams was surprised. Tyler, you have the potential to work at the best hospitals in the country. Why go back to the outskirts? Because that's where I can make the biggest difference, doctor. I see, that's noble, but you need to think about your career too. My career is about saving lives and training new professionals. I can do that anywhere. Tyler's decision to focus on community medicine wasn't well received by everyone. Some professors thought he was wasting his talent. Tyler, one professor said, you could be doing cutting-edge research, publishing internationally. Professor, research is important, but applying knowledge to save lives matters too. But your impact would be greater if you became an academic leader. My impact is greater when I train 100 paramedics who'll save thousands of lives, Tyler replied. During his internship, Tyler handled complex cases and learned from experienced doctors. But what impressed him most was seeing how his first aid techniques made a difference in patient care. Johnson, a veteran nurse, said, Where did you learn that immobilization technique? From a paramedic in the community where I grew up. I've never seen anyone do it as well as you, and I've worked here 20 years. The recognition from seasoned professionals confirmed to Tyler that his hands-on training had been as valuable as his academic education. At the end of his 5th year, as Tyler prepared for residency, he received unexpected news. The program he had created in Hope Heights was selected as a national model for community medicine. "Tyler," said Patricia Reynolds, who was now the state health secretary, "your program is going to be implemented in 100 cities across the state." 100 cities, that's incredible, and we want you to oversee the implementation. The offer was tempting, but Tyler knew accepting it would mean putting his medical residency on hold and focusing entirely on project management. "Madam Secretary, may I have some time to think it over?" "Of course, but remember, this is a chance to multiply your impact 100-fold. Tyler talked to all the important people in his life about the decision. Mrs. Johnson, Dr. Wilson, Frank, Sarah, everyone had a different opinion. "Son," said Mrs. Johnson, "you've always wanted to be a doctor. Don't give up on your dream now." "Mom, but coordinating this program is also a way to practice medicine." "Tyler," said Dr. Wilson, "both options are valid. You need to choose what makes you happiest." "Doctor, it's hard to decide. I love clinical medicine just as much as community work." "Then why not do both?" suggested Sarah. "Do your residency and coordinate the program in your free time." "Would that even be possible?" "Tyler," said Frank, "you've always managed to balance multiple things. Why would now be any different?" After much reflection, Tyler made an innovative decision. He proposed to the health department that he oversee the program during his residency, dedicating weekends and vacations to the project. "That's an interesting proposal," said Patricia, "but will you really be able to handle it all?" "Ma'am, I grew up balancing school, work, and family responsibilities. I've learned to be efficient with my time." "All right, let's try a pilot project. If it works, we'll continue." Tyler ranked first in the emergency medicine residency match. At the same time, he began coordinating the expansion of the first aid program to other cities. The first year of residency was extremely challenging. Tyler worked 12-hour shifts at the hospital and still devoted weekends to the community program. "Tyler," said Sarah, who had now been his girlfriend for 2 years, "you're working yourself to death." "I know it's tough, but it's just the first year. It'll get easier." "You always say that, but something new always comes up." Sarah was right. Tyler struggled to say no to opportunities to help people, but he loved what he did and felt he was fulfilling his life's purpose. During residency, he had the chance to work on complex cases that tested all his knowledge. His hands-on experience remained an advantage. "Dr. Johnson," said the chief resident, "you have exceptional clinical intuition. How did you develop that?" "Doctor, since I was a teenager, I've seen real emergencies. I learned to spot signs that sometimes go unnoticed." "Impressive. You have a bright future in this field." The program's expansion was also succeeding. In 1 year, Tyler had trained coordinators in 20 cities, who in turn trained over 1,000 young people in first aid. "Tyler," said Patricia during an evaluation meeting, "the results are exceeding our expectations." "That's great, Madam Secretary. And how are the emergency response metrics?" "A 30% reduction in average first aid response times in cities that implemented the program." "That means countless lives saved." "Exactly, you should be proud." Tyler was proud, but exhausted. Balancing residency and program coordination was taking a physical and emotional toll. It was during his 2nd year of residency that Tyler faced the biggest professional challenge of his life, a situation that would test all his knowledge and experience. It was a Friday night when a family involved in a car accident arrived at the emergency room. Dad, Mum, and 2 small children, all in critical condition. "Dr. Johnson," the nurse shouted, "we need your help here." Tyler rushed to the trauma room where the family was being treated. The situation was dire. The father was unconscious with a head injury, the mother had internal bleeding, and the children had multiple fractures. "Doctor," one of the nurses said, "we don't have enough doctors to attend to everyone at once." Tyler looked around. It was true, the shift was short-staffed, and there were other emergencies happening simultaneously. Let's prioritize, said Tyler. The mother to surgery now, the father for a CT scan. The children stay with me. Doctor, you can't treat 2 children at the same time. Yes, I can. Call 2 interns to assist me. In the following minutes, Tyler coordinated the care of both children while overseeing the parents' treatment. His experience in multiple emergencies gained from community projects was crucial. Dr. Johnson, one of the interns said, "How do you stay so calm in a situation like this?" "Experience," Tyler replied without stopping his work. "And focus on what really matters, saving lives." After 3 intense hours, the entire family was stabilized. The father had a mild concussion, the mother had undergone successful surgery, and the children's fractures would heal completely. Dr. Johnson, the head of the ER, said, "I've never seen a resident coordinate a multiple emergency so well. Thank you, doctor. Thankfully, everyone will recover. Your performance tonight was exceptional. I'll recommend you for the trauma specialization program. The trauma specialization was one of the most competitive and prestigious in the medical field. Being recommended was a great honor." "Doctor, I'm honored by the recommendation. But can I have some time to think?" "Of course, but don't take too long. The spots are limited." Tyler was conflicted again. The trauma specialization would open doors to a brilliant career in major hospitals, but would take him further from community work. "Sarah," he said the next day, "I don't know what to do. It's an incredible opportunity, but you're afraid of losing touch with your roots," Sarah finished. "Exactly. The more I climb professionally, the further I feel from the people who really need help." "Tyler, why can't you do both?" "How?" "Specialize in trauma and use that knowledge to improve emergency care in underserved communities." Sarah's suggestion made perfect sense. Tyler realized he didn't have to choose between professional growth and social work. He could use one to strengthen the other. "You're right," Tyler said. "I can specialize in trauma and then implement advanced emergency protocols in the communities." "Exactly. Being a doctor doesn't stop you from being a social activist." Tyler accepted the recommendation for the trauma specialization program. It would mean 2 more years of intensive training, but it would be worth it. The news of his selection spread quickly. Frank, Dr. Wilson, and the entire Hope Heights team were proud. "Tyler," Frank said, "you're soaring high, but you haven't forgotten where you came from." "I'll never forget, Frank. In fact, I'm planning to implement advanced trauma protocols in our program." "Really? That would be amazing. Imagine having paramedics trained in trauma techniques spread across all underserved communities." The idea energized the whole team. It would revolutionize emergency care for vulnerable populations. During the 2 years of trauma specialization, Tyler stood out once again. His hands-on experience and ability to work under pressure impressed his instructors. "Dr. Johnson," Dr. Wilson said, "Richards, the program director, you have the best grades in the class and the top practical performance." "Thank you, doctor. Have you ever considered an academic career? You'd make an excellent professor." "Actually, doctor, I have other plans." Tyler told me about his project to implement advanced trauma medicine in underserved communities. Dr. Richards was intrigued. "That's an ambitious project," he said. "But would you have institutional support?" "I'm working on it. The health department has already shown interest." "If you can pull this off, you'd be a pioneer in the country." "Doctor, can I count on your scientific support?" "Of course. It would be interesting to follow the results closely." During the last year of his specialization, Tyler began developing protocols for his new project. It would be the first community trauma medicine program in the United States. "Tyler," said Sarah, who was now finishing her own pediatrics residency, "you never stop innovating. I just see so much potential to improve care in underserved areas." "I know, and that's why I admire you so much." "Sarah, I've been thinking, how about we get married?" The proposal took Sarah by surprise. They had been dating for 4 years, but Tyler had never mentioned marriage. "Really? Are you proposing to me?" "I am. I want you to be my partner in life and work." "Tyler, of course I'll marry you. But where will we live?" "I was thinking of moving back to Hope Heights. We could open a community clinic." "A community clinic? That would be amazing. Sarah had also developed an interest in social work during her college years. The idea of working together in an underserved community excited her. Sarah, just imagine you caring for the children, me handling trauma cases and training new professionals. It'd be like a hub for community medicine. Exactly. The community clinic project began taking shape. Tyler and Sarah spent months planning the space, the services they'd offer, and how to sustain it financially. The health department might cover some of the costs, said Patricia when they presented the project. And the university could send interns, added Dr. Wilson. With these partnerships, the project becomes viable, Tyler said. On the day of his trauma specialization graduation, Tyler was beaming. He had become one of the youngest trauma specialists in the country. Dr. Johnson, Dr. Richards said during the ceremony, you represent the future of American medicine, a technically excellent and socially conscious professional. Thank you, Doctor. I hope to live up to those expectations. I'm sure you will. And I'll be following your work in the community closely. After graduation, Tyler and Sarah married in a simple ceremony in Hope Heights. It was a celebration that brought together the entire community that had followed Tyler's journey. Tyler, said Ethan, now 13, you're my biggest role model. I'm going to study medicine too. Ethan, that makes me so happy. You'll be an excellent doctor. And when I graduate, I want to work with you at the clinic. You'll be more than welcome. Emma, Ethan's twin sister, was also there. Tyler, because of you, I've decided to become a nurse. That's wonderful, Emma. We'll make a great team. Seeing how his story had inspired Ethan and Emma to pursue careers in healthcare moved Tyler deeply. It was proof that his work was creating a positive cycle in the community. The community clinic opened 6 months after the wedding. It was a modern yet welcoming space located in the heart of Hope Heights. Dr. Tyler, Mrs. Parker said at the opening, I never imagined we'd have a clinic like this right here in our neighborhood. Mrs. Parker, this clinic exists because you believed in me that day at the hospital. No, Doctor. It exists because you had the courage to help when it was needed. The clinic offered general medical care, pediatrics, advanced first aid, and training for community paramedics. Within a few months, it was already serving over 1,000 people each month. Tyler, said Frank, who was now the clinic's technical coordinator, we have a 3-month waiting list. That's great, but also concerning. We need to expand. I'm already working on it. The health department approved funding to hire 2 more doctors. The clinic's success caught the media's attention. Tyler began giving interviews about his model of community medicine. Dr. Johnson, a reporter asked, what motivated you to leave a promising career in big hospitals to work in an underserved neighborhood? Truthfully, I didn't leave anything behind. I found my place, Tyler replied. How so? My work here is more challenging and rewarding than any job at a private hospital. And financially, isn't it a sacrifice? Money is important, but so is purpose. Here I see the real impact of my work every day. The interviews brought more visibility to the project, but also criticism from some fellow doctors who thought Tyler was wasting his talent. Tyler, said a former residency colleague, you could be earning 5 times more at a private hospital. And treating people who have top-tier insurance and access to the best treatments, Tyler countered. Exactly. What's the problem? The problem is that medicine shouldn't be a privilege for the few. These discussions only strengthened Tyler's conviction that he had chosen the right path. He was using his skills where they were most needed. 2 years after the clinic opened, Tyler received news that would change everything again. Sarah was pregnant. Really? We're having a baby? Tyler was emotional. Yes, we're going to be parents. Sarah, I can hardly believe it. Our child will grow up in a community we helped transform. It's beautiful to think about. They'll see from an early age how important it is to help others. Sarah's pregnancy gave Tyler a new perspective on the future. He began thinking about how to raise a child with values of solidarity and social responsibility. Sarah, Tyler said one evening, I want our child to grow up seeing that it's possible to make a difference in the world. They'll have the best possible example. parents who dedicate their lives to helping others. But I also want them to have opportunities I never had. A good education, travel, seeing the world. Tyler, that's not at odds with our values. You can give them opportunities while still teaching them about social responsibility. During Sarah's pregnancy, the clinic continued to grow. Tyler introduced new services, including psychological care and physical therapy. Dr. Tyler, said Ashley, the young woman who had become a nurse inspired by his example, the clinic is turning into a small hospital. It's true, Ashley, but we're keeping our community focus. Of course, that's what sets us apart from other healthcare services. The birth of Nathan Johnson, Tyler and Sarah's son, was celebrated by all of Hope Heights. The baby became a symbol of hope for the community. Dr. Tyler, Frank joked, now you'll have to balance medicine, the clinic, and fatherhood. It'll be challenging, but Sarah will help me, and I have a great team here. And don't forget, you have a whole community ready to help too. Frank was right. Mrs. Parker, Ethan, Emma, and many others in Hope Heights offered to help with the baby whenever needed. When Nathan turned 1, Tyler reflected on everything that had happened since that afternoon when he first drove the ambulance. He had become a doctor specialized in trauma, married to Sarah, created a nationally recognized community medicine model, and was now a father. Sarah, said Tyler one night as they watched Nathan sleeping, do you think I've honored the trust people placed in me? Tyler, you've saved lives, trained professionals, inspired young people, and transformed an entire community. Of course you have. Sometimes I wonder if I could have done more. You'll always think that because you have a generous heart. But look around. How many families are better off because of your work? Sarah was right. The impact of Tyler's work went far beyond numbers. He had changed the culture of preventive healthcare in Hope Heights and inspired a new generation of health professionals. Ethan and Emma, now 15, were studying to take the medical and nursing school entrance exams respectively. Other young people in the community had also chosen careers in healthcare, inspired by Tyler's example. Dr. Tyler, said Ethan during a visit to the clinic, I want to do my residency in emergency medicine, just like you. Ethan, I'm so proud to hear that. You'll be an excellent doctor. And afterward, I want to come back and work here in the community. You'll be more than welcome. Imagine when we have doctors trained by the community itself working here. That was exactly what Tyler had dreamed of from the beginning, creating a sustainable cycle where the community itself would train its own healthcare professionals. On the 10th anniversary of the day he drove the ambulance, Hope Heights threw a party in Tyler's honor. It was an event that brought together hundreds of people whose lives had been touched by his work. Everyone, Tyler said during his speech, I'm the one who should thank you. You gave me purpose, taught me the true meaning of medicine. Dr. Tyler, someone in the crowd shouted, tell the ambulance story. Tyler smiled. Even after 10 years, people still loved hearing that story. Well, it all started when I was a 15-year-old kid selling candy at the traffic light. As he told the story, Tyler looked around at the familiar faces in the crowd. Mrs. Parker, Ethan, and Emma, now college students. Frank, who had become his partner at the clinic. Dr. Wilson, who remained his mentor. And of course Sarah holding Nathan in her arms. And today, 10 years later, I can say that was the most important decision of my life, Tyler concluded. The crowd applauded, moved. Many were crying, including Tyler himself. Dr. Tyler, Mrs. Parker said as she approached the stage, on behalf of the whole community, we want to give you a gift. She handed Tyler a plaque that read, Dr. Tyler Johnson, the boy who saved lives and transformed a community. Thank you, Tyler said, visibly emotional. But I received the real gift long ago, having all of you in my life. The party lasted late into the night, with people sharing stories of how Tyler had impacted their lives. It was a night he would never forget. In the days after the celebration, Tyler reflected on his future. Nathan was growing up, the clinic was well established, and he felt it was time to think about the next step. Sarah, he said, I've been thinking about writing a book about our experience. What kind of book? A practical guide for implementing community medicine. something other doctors can use to replicate our model. That's a wonderful idea. You have so much knowledge to share. And we could include protocols, case studies, challenges we faced. It would be like a complete manual on community medicine. Tyler began working on the book in his spare time. It was an ambitious project that would take at least 2 years to complete. During the writing process, he rediscovered many details of his journey that he had forgotten. Recalling each challenge he had overcome made him appreciate the path he had taken even more. The book Community Medicine, From Emergency to Social Transformation, was published 3 years later and became a reference in the field. Universities across the country began using the book in their curricula. "Dr. Johnson," said a medical professor from Washington, D.C. during a phone call, "your book is revolutionizing the teaching of community medicine here at the university." "I'm glad to hear that, Professor. That's exactly what I hoped for. We'd like to invite you to give a lecture on the subject." "It would be an honor." The lectures about the book took Tyler to several cities, always accompanied by Sarah and Nathan. It was a way to keep expanding the impact of his work. In every city he visited, Tyler met doctors interested in implementing similar models of community medicine. Many had already started projects inspired by the clinic in Hope Heights. "Dr. Tyler," said a doctor from Miami, "we've implemented your model here in the outskirts of the city. The results have been fantastic." "That's wonderful. How are the health indicators?" "A 40% reduction in preventable emergencies." "That means prevention is working." "Exactly. And the young people in the community are showing a lot of interest in healthcare careers." Hearing about the success of other projects based on his model filled Tyler with pride and motivation to keep innovating. When Nathan turned 5, Tyler and Sarah decided it was time to expand their family. Sarah became pregnant again, this time with a girl they named Hope. "Hope?" Nathan asked when they learned the baby's gender. "Yes, sweetheart. Because she represents the hope of a better future," Sarah explained. "Like what you do at the clinic?" "Exactly," Tyler replied. "Hope is what drives us every day." Hope's birth brought even more joy to the Johnson family. Nathan became a protective and caring older brother, always eager to help take care of his little sister. "Daddy," Nathan asked one day, "when I grow up, can I work with you at the clinic?" "Of course, son, but you can choose any profession you want." "I want to be a doctor, just like you and Mommy." "If that's your choice, we'll always support you." Seeing his son express interest in medicine moved Tyler deeply, not because he wanted to impose a career on Nathan, but because he saw in him the same values of compassion he had always tried to nurture. When Hope turned 2, Tyler received an unexpected offer. The Department of Health invited him to coordinate a national community medicine program. "Dr. Johnson," the secretary said during a video conference, "we want to implement your model in 1,000 U.S. municipalities." 1,000? That's very ambitious, Mr. Secretary. "We know it's challenging, but you're the right person to lead this." "Mr. Secretary, I'd be honored, but I can't leave my work here in Hope Heights." "You wouldn't have to. You'd coordinate remotely with monthly trips for supervision." The offer was tempting, but Tyler needed to think carefully before accepting. It would be a chance to multiply his impact 1,000-fold, but it would also bring enormous responsibilities. "Sarah, what do you think?" he asked his wife. "It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to transform public health in the U.S., Sarah replied, "but it also means much more work and responsibility. Tyler, you've spent your whole life preparing for something like this. You can't say no." "What about the kids? It'll mean less time with them." "We'll adjust. Nathan and Hope will grow up seeing their dad helping the entire country." After much reflection, Tyler accepted the offer. It would be the greatest professional challenge of his life, but also the opportunity to create the most significant social impact possible. The National Community Medicine Program took 5 years to be fully implemented. Tyler traveled across all U.S. states, training teams, and overseeing the setup of community clinics. "Dr. Tyler," said a coordinator from Alaska, "I never imagined quality healthcare would reach our village." "This program exists to reach exactly where it's needed most," Tyler replied. "The results of the national program were extraordinary. A significant reduction in infant mortality, increased vaccination coverage, and the training of thousands of new community health professionals. "Dr. Johnson," said the secretary during the program's closing ceremony, "you've transformed the face of public health in the United States. Mr. Secretary, this was the work of an entire team. I just coordinated. Your humility is admirable, but the credit is mostly yours." When the national program ended, Tyler was 52 years old with an established reputation as a pioneer of community medicine in the US. Nathan was 15 and had decided to study medicine. Hope, now 12, showed an interest in nursing like her Aunt Emma, who had become one of the coordinators at the Hope Heights Clinic. "Dad," Nathan said during a family dinner, "I want to go to college right here in New York City to stay close to you all." "Son, you can study wherever you want. We'll support you anywhere." "No, Dad. I want to learn from you and then continue the family work." "What family work?" "Well, taking care of those who need it most," Nathan replied as if it were obvious. Tyler was moved to see his values naturally passed down to his children. Ethan and Emma, now a licensed doctor and nurse, had returned to work in Hope Heights as they'd promised. The community clinic was now run by professionals who had grown up in the very community they served. "Dr. Tyler," Ethan said during a team meeting, "we want to expand the clinic to include minor surgeries." "That's an interesting idea, Ethan. Do you have a plan?" "Yes, Emma and I put together a full proposal. Can we show you?" Seeing Ethan and Emma lead the clinic's expansion filled Tyler with pride. It was proof that his project had become sustainable and independent. At 55, Tyler decided it was time to semi-retire and focus more on family and personal projects. "Sarah," he said one Sunday morning, "how about we travel across the US with the kids?" "Travel? Where to?" "To visit all the community clinics we helped create. Nathan and Hope can see the impact of our work." "That's a beautiful idea. It'd be like a journey of gratitude." The trip lasted 3 months and took the Johnson family to 20 US states. In every town, they were welcomed as heroes by the local community. "Nathan," Tyler said when they visited a clinic in Arizona, "see that child being treated over there?" "I see, Dad. She's getting quality medical care because you and your mom dedicated years of work to make it happen." "It's incredible to think about," Nathan replied, amazed. "Hope," Tyler turned to his daughter, "what did you think of seeing so many people helping others?" "It was beautiful, Daddy. I want to do that too when I grow up." "You can do anything you want, sweetheart. The important thing is always remembering to help those in need." The trip was transformative for the whole family. Nathan and Hope saw firsthand how their parents' work had impacted millions of lives across the country. When they returned to Hope Heights, Tyler felt complete. He had fulfilled his life's mission, to use his talents to help those in greatest need and to train a new generation of professionals committed to social justice. "Sarah," he said on their first night back home, "do you think we made a difference?" "Tyler, you turned a moment of despair into an entire career dedicated to saving lives. Of course we made a difference. And now, what do we do in our retirement?" "Now we get to watch our children follow in our footsteps and carry on our work. And maybe some grandkids to spoil," Tyler joked. "Slow down, Grandpa. Nathan hasn't even started college yet." Sarah laughed. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of the story and where you're reading from. If you have something to share with us, leave your sincere thoughts in the comments. Do you think Tyler made the right decisions throughout his journey? We'd love to hear your thoughts on how small actions can lead to big changes. Thank you so much for being with us.